Okay, I've created a new class called test average. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to create some arrays that hold average of tests. So first, I'm going to create my double called tests, and I'm going to pack it with 3 test scores: 72.5, 72.7, and 72.9 for right now. And now I'm going to want to get the average of these tests. So what I'm going to do is we can pass arrays to methods. And I think the 2 things in this video I'm really going to do is I'm looking at section 7.2.7 for each loops. And I'm looking for at 7.6 passing arrays to methods. Those are going to really be the things that I develop out of playing with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a method that creates the average of an array. I pass it. So I'm going to call that method first. So system dot out dot printf, and the average is percent. We'll make it 2 decimal places. And I'm going to immediately reference my method. And my method is going to be average. And I'm going to pass it my tests. And so I need a method that will return an average of an array. So outside of main, but in my class, I'm going to have a public static double called average that will receive a double called elements, because this can be anything. It doesn't have to be test scores. And what we need to do now is to do an average. We add up everything in the average and we divide it by the number of things in it. So I'll make a double called sum, and I'll set it equal to 0 when it comes in. And now I'm going to use a special construction inside of used for arrays, where if I say for elements for, let's see, what do I want to call the each elements? How about instead of calling it elements, I will call it my array. I'll actually call it an array. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make elements the parts of the array, and I'll process my way through the array. So let's see. Here's my double called array. And I need to make these a double also. I think will work. So what this for construction does is I create a double called elements, and then by putting the colon array, this loop will work through each part of the array. So what I'm going to say is sum is going to be plus equal elements. So I add up each element, and then I'm going to return, well, the average is the sum divided by the length of my array. And so the short little method here adds up everything and then returns that number divided by the number of elements in the array. And so I just need to make sure that I'm passing it a double array. Let's see what's happening here. Average cannot be resolved to a variable. Oh, that's right, because I want to average is the name of my double. Let's see, syntax clock. So what am I average? This returns here, so let me get this in correctly. So I'm going to use my average method, and I'm going to pass it tests. And this marker here goes on the outside. There we go. I had a misplaced semicolon. So this method passed tests to my average method. My average method works on each element. Now, the thing to note about arrays is when we pass them to a method, it doesn't pass all of the memory. What it does is it points to the starter in the memory. So any change I do on an array in a method will change the array in my main. This array over here isn't local to this method. It's something that's global to my main. Well, let's run this and see if, let's see, I got a little bit of an error here. Conversion 4. Oh, I forgot to put my F in my format statement. Let's try that again. And so we get the average. So this is how we're going to start with arrays. I have a collection of 3 things in memory. I can process each thing in the memory. I can add them all up. And so I've created a little method that creates the average. And what I did is I picked a number in the middle that'd be the average. If I change this to an 82 and a 92 and rerun it, notice I get the updated average. Let's put this at a 92 also, and see how our average updates and coming through. So we're able to take this collection of things in memory and process them individually. It's a good way of classifying things that we need to do similar things on, but we need to hold their values. Arrays are very, very useful tools. And here we have 2 things we can do with arrays. We can pass them to methods, and we have this for structure that will process each element in the array. It'll take whatever in the array for the 0th element, put it into the first time through the loop. And this really does the index structure.